Do you like Vampire Survivors? What about Diablo? If the answer is yes, this is the type of game that combines both of them. What game is that? Well, none other than Halls of Torment. So, in today's video, I'll be reviewing Halls of Torment and explaining why should you play. Welcome to the channel, my name is Vasharal and this is Taleplay, and in today's video we'll be covering Halls of Torment, a bullet heaven type of game with RPG elements and the aesthetics of classic Diablo. I want to mention that this is a review copy which I applied for as I really wanted to cover this game, so thank you very much for providing me with this review copy. I really appreciate it. I'm a fan of Vampire Survivors and this game has really sparked my interest after seeing some of my friends on Steam playing it. Throughout the video you might hear me compare this game with the OG, that's Vampire Survivors, to give you an idea how different the game is. And if you've not played that, don't worry, I'll explain everything you need to know about this game. Like most bullet heaven games, you're tasked with a very simple control, where you have to sway your way through hordes of enemies and try to survive as much as possible. What makes Halls of Torment interesting among the others is the overall feel of it. This game picks up a lot slower and doesn't bombard you with new abilities right from the start. I noticed that progression feels a lot slower, but overall my enjoyment for this game has ramped up over time. Throughout my playthrough, I couldn't help to compare this game with Vampire Survivors, just to discover how different the game really is. Sure, you collect items after killing monsters from the ground and leveling your character, but leveling was more stat-based. In Vampire Survivors, you get new abilities by leveling up, while here, leveling up helps you increase your movement speed, attack speed, damage, defense, area or cone of effect, concentration, that helps you casting quicker your abilities, and range, and so much more. New abilities you pick up by going in certain directions on the map. They will be displayed to you as scrolls, and once you pick them up, only then you will be able to upgrade them. Basically, when you will be picking up future XP gems, you'll be able to upgrade them however you like. Not only that, but in this game you've got items that influence the stats of your character. The items generally drop from bosses that you defeat in your 30 minutes run. You get to pick one up to 3 by choice that you can either equip or carry in your inventory. From here on, you will either have the options to either hold onto it or deliver it back to your base. This can only be done once per run, so I'd recommend at first holding on to the items that you want until you beat the 3 bosses that drop those items, and then deciding which one you want to retrieve. To be able to retrieve items back to your base, you'll have to play the game and unlock new characters. The first character introduces you to the well, where you have the option to pick only one item per run to send back. Once you send it, even if you didn't purchase it from the merchant, you'll be able to see it as mentioned in the menus that you have retrieved it but did not own it. So just be aware that when you're picking up a new item that you haven't picked it already and you have it sent already to the base. That's very helpful because it's difficult to remember all the items even if they're not that many in the beginning. I do think that is an important thing to keep in mind when you're picking your items. If of course you have all the items already in your base or you pick them already, there's no harm in picking anything and equipping it if you want to change your stats during your playthrough. Currently the game is in early access and during my playthrough I've unlocked 3 maps, but at the time of this recording there's only 4 maps to play on, with different looks, types of monsters and difficulty. By playing on each map you unlock achievements which further unlock new skills, classes to play and new upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, in your base you'll be able to interact with different kind of objects such as the pillar that allow you to upgrade your stats. These stats are the same as mentioned earlier, but these become permanent stats and can be reset at any given time if you need coins to purchase an item or relocate it for different stats. Over time I've noticed with progression I'm unlocking more and more stuff like additional fire damage, cone area of attack and so much more that are not directly linked with skills. There are 7 classes currently in the game game, you start with the swordsman, then you have the archer, exterminator, cleric, warlock, sorceress, and shield maiden. Some of the classes are melee and some are range. Their upgrade stats change as you pick up the class. Each class somewhat feels different and unique in its own way. Because this game is in early access, I'm expecting this game will bring future classes along the way. As for now, this is what we have. Additionally, as you progress in the game, you will unlock additional things such as crafting and collecting items that you can use in your journey. Like the merchant that sells you the items you've sent him via the well, you unlock him by exploring the map and they tend to show up right away as you start. You can't really miss it. Generally, the character is just gonna simply ask you to pick up a key or a particular item and retrieve it to him. So you'll be doing that throughout one run, and even if you fail to complete that run, you will unlock that character in your base. What will probably bring a lot of players to try this game out is the overall vibe and aesthetics of the game. The game really reminds me of classic Diablo, and despite having a very old feel to it that brings out nostalgia, dialogues and sound effects and music paint a clear picture. Vampire Survivors already did set a trend for old school type of games that seem to still excite people. Not everything needs to be glossy with great animations, voice acting and visuals to sell a game to people. There's something about this type of games that really brings people in. One thing I want to point out is the overall look of the game. I'm using a mode to allow me utilize my ultra wide monitor. I've got a 21:9 monitor and the game only supports 16:9. So you'll either have to deal with the black bars or use a similar mode that I do. If you want to know more about this mode, I will put it in the description below, so feel free to check it out. With such a mod, you will see at times in my recording some of the artifacts in the menu, such as text not displaying properly, so please don't take that as being the game. The game UI works perfectly even in early access. It's just something I choose to play as because there's no support for my monitor. What sets Halls of Torment apart from other bullet heaven games is the top-down look, classic to Diablo. At first it was a bit weird getting used to it, and the progression, as I said, feels somewhat slower. The whole game was purposely made to move a little bit slower, which in my opinion is not a bad thing. Things can get really crazy sometimes. Luckily, it's easier to understand what's going on sometimes, but not always. Once you get yourself a couple of abilities, it's hard to distinguish what's going on, which is something normal with this type of games. Controls are great, but I'd recommend auto-attacking and auto-aiming in the settings to fully enjoy the game, as it can really be difficult once the waves of monsters increase in volume. The only stress will be on your ability to sway yourself around monsters on the safest route possible, and sometimes going through it if that's the only option. All that can put a lot of stress on your reaction time, attention and thumbs if you're playing with a controller as I did. This game feels great with a controller due to its ease, and because of that plays perfectly on the Steam Deck. Now I do find that the close-up camera is a little bit difficult to see what's going on outwards, but if you want a game that rocks on the Steam Deck, this is it. When it comes to story, these games barely have any. Introducing new characters that aid you on your journey is one, but you can't talk with them after they've made their introduction in the base. There's no attachment with them, and if you want to learn more about the world, well, you're looking at the type of game that doesn't do that. You'll find a few tomes that explain a few things in the world, but there's little information that you can gather from this world and its story. If you're looking for a game that is active to play and a story, you'll be disappointed. One thing I want to point out before I draw the final conclusion is that this game is in early access, so as I said before, it lacks characters, abilities that you can have, and classes. I really wish there was more, but I can understand that it is not fully released. There's a long way to go and a lot more to be introduced. A game like this will hold you for dozens of hours, and luckily it has a lot of replayability, but once you complete everything there is to complete via achievements and in-game tasks, there's not much that you can do unless you want to wait for new updates. For now, completing the game takes roughly about 45 to 50 hours, depending how quickly you learn the game. With experience from similar titles, you'll perform just fine. The game price is a hard recommendation in my opinion. This game is perfect to play on a fly if you can spare 10 to 30 minutes max, and picking up the game after a few weeks or months doesn't affect your performance. As I said regarding controls, it's very easy to learn and remember. So at this time of recording, being in early access and all, I recommend playing this. Its price, content, additional features and fun made me score the game at very good. If you want to try something new that carries heavy influence visually from classic Diablo and plays excellently on the Steam Deck and on any device, that is a must. I can't wait to see what more will be added over time, but for now, with the things that I have the time spent, I can't be any happier. Thank you for watching. If you've been enjoying our content and want to see more, hitting the subscribe button will greatly help us achieve 1000 subscribers. It's our goal and we cannot do it without your help. So if you like what you see, like this video as it helps us a lot. If you don't like it, feel free to comment below and let us know what can we do better. Also join our Discord if you want to partake in our monthly giveaways. We had Diablo 4 this month and we're gonna have upcoming games that you can vote in the community, so feel free to check our community hub area where you can vote what kind of games we're gonna give next. So the pool is gonna expire on the 31st of July, so feel free to drop your thoughts over there, and if you want to know what kind of games we're gonna give, you're gonna find out via Discord. So if you want to take part in that, join us over there. We have a community of people that love games of all types, from Steam to PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, even mobile. So if you want to take part in that, feel free to do so. And let's say you are gonna win a giveaway and it's for Steam, but you're gaming on PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo, that's fine, because we will do that giveaway and transition it for you. So you're not missing out on anything. Just let us know on what platform of choice are you on and we'll take care of that. That's all from me. My name is Vashra and this has been a Tellplay review video. As always, stay safe, take care and happy gaming.